Welcome back, everybody. My name is Drikagan, and this is Greg Tech New Horizons. So when I left off last time, I had a few things I wanted to get taken care of. I've pretty much done those things. Basically, what I did was I went into the Nether and I gathered up all of the tetrahedrite, stibnite, and copper to knock out this quest. I also went ahead and dug up the quartzite, barite, and certus quartz ore in order to get this quest done. And there were a couple of the small ores that gave me the crystals themselves, and so that completes the quests necessary in order to do the emitter and scanner. So with those things done, I can now focus on some of the other stuff. I've gone ahead and updated my list of things that I want to get done. And you can see here I've got the first 5 machines. These are pretty much the essential machines to get going with in order to deal with making things like circuits and the other LV machines that much cheaper. And then you'll see down here I've got listed 19.5 stacks of clay and sand. So I did end up this is just a checkbox task that gives you some oak saplings, and then the very next thing is just to have either an axe or a crop manager and some oak wood. The oak wood was real easy. I already had my axe because I was using that with the charcoal pile in order to get that stuff done, and it sends you down this route here to make 24 coke ovens. So 24 coke ovens is 624 coke brick ovens, which are 4 of these coke oven bricks here. And then I found out that you don't have to go through making it this way, because I was doing the math and it takes a lot in order to go through this. I didn't realize that in the alloy smelter you can do it 1-to-1 to get 2 coke oven bricks. So I fortunately have not started this yet, but knowing that, I need 19.5 stacks of clay and sand if I don't count the 26 blocks that I already have in my one smelter that's over there. The other thing I decided to do was I decided to grind up 1 stack of tetrahedrite ore. The nether ore gives you 4 of the crushed each time you do that. So there's tetrahedrite ore. If we take a look at it, if we crush this in a pulverizer, where is the nether? There's the nether version, and it'll give you 4 of the crushed tetrahedrite ore. I then smashed that with the forge hammer, and then dunked it in water to make this dust. And then what I did is I put it into the primitive blast furnace using charcoal right here in order to get out. Basically, it's 1 to 1.5 on the ingots. So from a raw ore perspective, each raw ore will give you 4 of these, and then 4 of those will turn into 6 of these. So a stack of tetrahedrite ore will get you 6 stacks of copper, and then not only that, it'll also get you 2 stacks of antimony. So I already melted that stuff and then compressed it into the ingots, or rather used the alloy smelter in order to make them into ingots. And if we pick up a stack of that, we only needed 32 for this quest here in LV. This one right here, which is antimony. Later we'll get into lead before we can make batteries, but in order to do that, we have to complete our first good circuit and go into the Twilight Forest, unless we just happen to be, like, if we get the miner and we go into the nether and we get enough lead through small ores that way, we could possibly finish it, but otherwise it's just when we get to the Twilight Forest, which isn't a big issue. So that quest is done. I also have here in my backpack my 4 stacks of steel. So there is our quest for 4 stacks of steel. The whole reason I wanted to get that out of the way first is because we are going to be using a ton of it in order to start making these machines. I did a little math due to a debate in the Discord, and it turns out that the wire mill, if you build the wire mill before the bending machine. Now last time when I played, there was a guide that I was following by Waverly September, and they recommended the bending machine first. And so last playthrough, that's what I did. I just naturally went with the bending machine because it said it was better, and because of what had transpired in the Discord, I decided let's do the math and let's math it out to see what would happen if I made the wire mill first versus the bending machine first. And it turns out that if you make the wire mill before the bending machine, you will save 16 ingots of tin, 56 ingots of copper, 52 ingots of copper, and 24 redstone dust. If you do it in the reverse order, make the bending machine first and then the wire mill, thinking that you will save on the amount of steel, you actually end up only saving 1 wrought iron for the machine case and 10 of the steel, 1 for the, 5 of it, 6 of it for the machine case, and then an additional 4 of them on the piston itself. So there's you do the math. If you feel that 10 ingots of steel is worth saving over 16 ingots of tin, 52 ingots of copper, and 24 redstone dust, then go for it. In this playthrough this time, I am going to go through and I'm going to make the wire mill and then the bending machine. Then I can make the chemical reactor and fluid solidifier, which will get us our rubber quite a bit cheaper, and then after that the lathe, so that we can start making our rods you get 1 rod per ingot, but it returns half of the ingot as dust, and then you just have to resmelt it. So it's not perfect, but it's still basically 2 to 1. You just have to make 2 in order to get back the 1 to turn it back into an ingot. So, however you want to take that, that's what you need to do. And then what I've done, is, let's get back to just my hand here. I've gone ahead and listed out everything that I need in order to make this wire mill, beginning with 4 motors, 2 circuit boards, 4 vacuum tubes, and then the casing, red alloy wires, and then over here 4 resistors, along with the 9 steel plates, 2 wrought iron plates, and some of those tin cables. So those 3 pages are what we will be going through to make the wire mill. I'm probably going to step away and just do that because no one really needs to see making of the actual wire and the cable and the iron rods and the wood plates and all the rest of that stuff. But at least once we are done with that, I can quickly go through and we can go ahead and make everything we need in order to put together this wire mill. Now, one of the things I did is over here I put down my basic steam turbine. It's not efficient. These guys will not keep up with it. 2 simple solar boilers outputting at their max. And as you can see right there, I need to go up there and knock out this solar boiler and replace it, and so that it'll get the full 120. That is about 6 EU per tick, because 120 times 2 is 240 steam. It takes 2 liters of steam for 1 EU of power, so divide that by 2, you're left with 120, and that's 120 EU per second, not per tick, per second. So you take that 120, divide it by 20, and you're left with 6. So that steam turbine, if these 2 guys were to keep up with that steam turbine, it's 6 EU per tick, which isn't a lot of recipes that can do that, but you know what? It's good enough for a start. That's part of the reason why I want to go down through and I want to make this those things of clay and sand. And what I can do is, as I get these machines up and running, we can start taking a look. Oops, let's go ahead and check this guy off. We are done with that. We can go ahead and start making, there's one thing I do want to make. It's also in this list here. If we go for bio for the masses, they show this crop manager. So as I get those things up and running, and especially getting towards the sensor and the robot arm, and then a machine hull and an input hatch, I can make this crop manager. It'll work in a 5 radius on either side and up to 2 blocks above. So I can put down a whole lot of the, what are they called? Bonsais around it. And then as long as I can feed it power, it will get me wood. Now, in previous playthroughs, they originally had you using the Steve's Factory Manager, and they still might. Steve's Factory Manager might be here under Basic Automation. Let's see. Yeah, they've got that right over here. But they want you to get... Yeah, okay, so they want you to get the fluid extractor, the assembler, the... I don't know if that's a piston or what, and then of course, like the motor or whatever, in order to get Steve's Factory Manager and build up a cart and have the cart run around and collect your trees, and there are trees all over the place and whatnot. Not exactly a fan. I've done it once before. It can be tricky to set up. If you really want to see it, I think I've got a video on it. It's probably like my 3rd episode of Season 2 where I was working with it. I may have even done it in Season 1 just because that was the way to power things. And in Season 2, I was just trying to get caught up back to where I was. So in any case, I don't want to go through that route. I would like to go through this other route of using these lovely... crop managers, and we can play around with it that way. The crop manager may also be the way that we start. One of the things I'd like to do once I get the lathe done is I can make more crop sticks, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to get it to where I can set down a set of crop sticks and I can make stick reed, and then if we get stick reed up and running, then I won't have to deal with the rubber trees because I'll already get sticky resin from harvesting stick reed. So that is high on my list of things to do. Yes, I've done stick reed before, but not with a crop manager. I always had to wait until I had the multi-farms, which we're close to. I think those are MV or HV though, and this is of course an LV way of doing things. So getting us into crops a little bit faster, I think I'm going to go that route, and we'll see about doing things. So I'm going to start working my way through this list, start getting everything together for these different pieces, and we will work on getting our wire mill up, and then once the wire mill is up, we can start talking about the bending machine, and then from there I've got this whole list. I've got those two backwards. I didn't want to undo my whole list just to get those two rearranged. So wire mill, bending machine, then we work on the chemical reactor and fluid solidifier. That gets us our rubber, and then we have our basic lathe to get our rods a little bit cheaper. After that we have our centrifuge and our assembling machine, and I've got a what do you call it, run around outside. Anyway, after the assembling machine, get the polarizer done to save us the redstone on making the magnetic iron rods for our motors. Then the macerator, the alloy smelter, the furnace, the compressor, then the forming press. The forming press will be key for our EBF. And then we have a fluid extractor, a chemical bath, and then the crop manager somewhere in there. We'll play around. We'll see what we're going to do with all of that. So yeah, look forward to getting into these LV machines and along the way getting ourselves some better steam processing. So I'll see you back here in a bit. Well, really quick, that Enderman that was warping around outside apparently warped into my smeltery, because he's in there and he's melted quite a bit of liquid ender. He may end up filling this thing up. So I've already gone ahead and grabbed the 16 ender pearls from him that I could. Yeah. I am not going to stand here to keep doing this over and over again. I'm just going to let him go until either he dies or despawns. I really don't mind which. I will have a lot of liquid ender in there to go through whenever I need other stuff. So there you can see nearly half a stack of ender pearls. That'll last me a good little while, so I like that. Yeah, so that's it. Still going back, still working on stuff. See you in a bit. Well, this is quite the batch of materials. Here I have the stuff necessary to make that LV machine hull, so that's all done. If I pull out this stuff from here, I have all the necessary parts to make the 4 motors. So there's all 4 motors. After the motors, I have the stuff to make these resistors here. Let's see here. So sticky resin, copper, coal dust. So we're going to take all 8 of this into that. 4 of those like that. 4 of those like that, and I think I made just a little bit too much copper wire, but that's okay. We'll make use of those later. It's slightly inefficient because, well, we should have used that on we should have used that like through the wire mill once we've got it built here, but that's okay. So there's our 4 resistors. Up next we have our 2 vacuum tubes, or rather our 4 vacuum tubes. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. So there we go, 4 resistors, 4 vacuum tubes. We then need, let's see here. So this, yeah, we need the red alloy cable for these, which I don't have yet. And then we need the circuit boards. So that stuff I do have. We've got that and those to make 2 circuit boards, and then I've got 16 wire to make 2 of those circuit boards. And then there's our 2 casing, resistors on top, vacuum tubes underneath, and then I need to get some more rubber made in order to get this done. So for that 6, I need 12. This is going to take me just a moment here because I've got to smash down some sulfur. It's also going to make a bunch of noise. So we'll let that thing run. So we did our 4 resistors. We did our 4 vacuum tubes. I need those red alloy wires. We did our 4 motors. We did our 2 circuit boards. And once we get these red alloy wires covered up, and we can finish making our couple of electronic circuits, and then we can make our wire mill. So if we go ahead and stick this here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those like that. We then have our 2 wires, and then we'll have our 2 circuits go there in the middle here in just a second. Dunk that in there. And then our alloy smelter, we're going to need 4, I think it is. And so we'll go ahead and get out rubber that way. Only making the bare minimum of what we need until we get to our chemical reactor, because we don't want to spend a lot of rubber when we can make the chemical reactor, and then we can fluid solidify out the plates. Oddly enough, the plates, which are what we're going to be using most of the time, can be solidified, I believe it's 1-for-1 in the fluid solidifier. So if we look in here, we should be able to find something to do with anyway, we'd have to look through there, but we should be able to get these plates out, and those plates, of course, being rubber plates, not your usual plates. All right, looks like that makes 1-to-1, so I'm going to need, let's see here, so that was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there we go. We're just going to have to let that run for a little while there, getting us our 12 rubbers. So I'll be back in a bit once we're ready for the last of our stuff. All right, there we are. We now have our 6 red alloy cable, making us 2 of our electronic circuits. All right, and with the electronic circuits done, we can take it over here and make our basic wire mill. So there we are. Basic wire mill done. I'm going to plug it in, and we'll get started making the rest of the stuff that we'll need. So I'll see you back here in a bit. We'll wrap up this episode probably by making that that wonderful bending machine that we've got listed right here. So we'll see you back here in a bit. There we go. Finally gathered all the extra materials that we'll need. So let's go ahead and get started. Right there's my 2 wrought iron. There is my 2, or my 1 piece of steel. That one guy there. Let's go ahead and make the hull. There we are. And then make the LV machine casing. Good. I have 1 of those guys there. And now it's time for some of the rest of this stuff. So split up the rods. Magnetic rod. 4 like that. 8 like that. And there are 4 motors, 2 of which we will use to convert into pistons. The pistons we want to hang on to for a split second because that does complete us this quest here, and then we can take a look at, and it may not even be in here. I don't think it's the press. All right. In any case, let's see here. So we have now the 2 things there. The 2 things there. We have our wrench there. And now all that we have left is to make those circuit boards. So let's sleep through the night, and then we'll get started on those circuit boards. I finally had to get rid of the Enderman in my smeltery. He was making quite the mess. My smeltery is now completely full of nothing but liquid ender, and then that little bit of iron and blood that was in there from before. So I just need to pour it out because, yeah, it's going to be a mess. So there is our 2 circuit boards. There is our 16 to make the actual circuit boards. We have our coal. We have our fine wire. We have our regular wire, and we have our resin to make our 4 resistors. We have our glass. We have our, how does this work? This guy, this guy, this guy. We have all of that stuff. There we go. There are those 4 done. So 4 of those, 4 of those, 2 of those, 6 of those, 2 of those, and that should make us our 2 circuits. Excellent. I probably should have made a 3rd circuit. I might get one as reward, but the bending machine requires a circuit in its inventory to know what to bend or how to bend. But in any case, there's our bending machine. Excellent. Saving metal with bending. Where is this guy? Oh, right there. Okay. And then after that, it does show the lathe. I didn't realize the lathe was going to be all the way over there, but that's okay. So there is that. We only get a loot bag, 2 pistons and a loot bag. All right, let's just collect up our quest rewards then real quick here. So there we go with those. And that is pretty much going to do it for right now. I did make the rubber sheets to make those wires, so I can go ahead and get a loot bag from there. That'll get us into making a whole stack of rubber sheets and consume it just to get our hazmat suit. I'm probably going to wait on that until I have my chemical reactor. But the chemical reactor is next up on the list along with the fluid solidifier, and once those 2 things are done, we'll be good. I went ahead and poured out the 16 ender pearls. That gets us another loot bag. And then, I did kill some creepers, so there's some more coins. Not that I need all of those coins, but there they are. So let's see here. Pistons can go away. Loot bags can go away. Those will be opened before long, I think. There is some extra coins, and it looks like that is all the coins we have room for in a silver or in an iron chest. I'll just go ahead and stick these guys in there for right now. But there we go. That is now our bending machine complete. I will Probably need to rearrange some stuff over here because I need to run wires places, and the wires are what we'll be hooking up to while we get the rest of these machines up and running. I do need to eventually make a tool rack. I just was avoiding making the pressure plates because of these iron springs, because of them needing long iron rods, and or a bending machine with a circuit of one. So that would be nice, a single long iron rod. So that would be just 2 ingots of iron each, and then we can bend it into an iron spring. So yeah, might look into doing that, letting my steam recover now because I was doing all kinds of crafting over there with it. But that gets us our first couple of machines. It'll decrease the cost of most of our builds right now. Once we get these last 3 machines again here, the chemical reactor, fluid solidifier, and then eventually the lathe, that's going to like make circuits and things cost half of what they used to. So that'll really get us going with the with those setups. Let's see here. Let's look at if we look at the rubber, I don't know that it'll have the liquid. So let's go with that rubber bar, which we can get from a fluid solidifier, from the molten rubber, and in a chemical reactor, 9-to-1 makes 9 instead of 3-to-1 making 1. So that's going to be a huge increase in the amount of rubber that we can produce in our chemical reactor once we get that going. I believe the chemical reactor, yeah, it's just a motor and a rotor, so nice and cheap. It's the basic fluid solidifier that needs the 2 pumps. So those 2 pumps will unlock this portion of stuff, get us a few more things, and it'll also unlock the first quest that we have to make a basic pump, and we can start pumping oil, which is, you know, another series of quests up here where we can start, well, this one right here really, working with oil. So we'll be getting into oil very soon, hopefully. And start getting some different kinds of power other than steam power. But for now, I think I do like the idea. We're going to want all of that charcoal being made by all of that stuff if we want to go the route of benzene. It's also useful if we want to go the route of, I believe, biodiesel, if we go ahead and continue down that same route. So between episodes, I am going to work on... It's not actually 19.5 stacks. I've got to figure out the exact amount because we do have 26 already made, so we only need 23 more of those things, and then figuring out how I'm going to arrange them outside somewhere so that it can get built up, and then we can also plant our thing that's going to this guy right here, the crop manager, and get them to build up our crops by harvesting those bonsai plants. And once those things are done, then it will it'll really go far to getting us to a nice power system. So I will see you guys in the next episode, where we should hopefully be tackling our 25 coke ovens and possibly our chemical reactor, fluid solidifier, and lathe. So we will see you in the next episode. Till then.